Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at. We are the Back Talk Bros. We're missing one, but we'll get here soon. And in tonight's live, we are going to give our preview of the Chiefs at Broncos, and we'll address any Q&A we have in the chat. And yeah, maybe we'll get on to other topics. Who knows?
But
Aaron,
first,
good to see you.
you too.
Y'all ready for them Chiefs? Y'all ready for them Chiefs?
Can you hear me, Steve? Hello,
Hopefully
hello.
Gooch is with us here in a moment. You there,
Can you hear
Aaron?
me at
I
all?
see you. Can't hear you.
Here we go again. Fucking StreamYard.
All right, Aaron's going to pop in and back out. We'll see if that affects anything. And yeah. Chris is with us. Chris, good to have you with us. I'm not sure if you've been on before when I've been on, at least in the chats. But yeah, we let me ask you guys this. How's everybody feeling? We've had not quite a week now, but almost a week to digest, process, grieve, whatever. The Chiefs and the Chiefs lost to the Bengals. How's everybody feeling now that we're about a week removed? Like, feeling better? You feel basically the same? Feel worse? How's everybody feeling about this? Just curious how everyone is. Hopefully Aaron can get back on here real quick and Gooch can jump in. And yeah. Then we'll talk some Chiefs and Broncos. I don't know how long we'll talk Chiefs and Broncos. I'm not sure how long we'll have to talk. How long we'll have to actually talk Chiefs and Broncos, but we'll see.
Can you hear me now? How about now? Can you hear me, Steve?
You talking, Aaron? Maybe it's just me. You guys in the chat, can you hear Aaron? Is it just
At
an
all?
issue with me, or let us know? I can hear my kids that are awake just fine. Can't hear Aaron. Also, we gotta see if we can summon Gooch. Gooch, if you do not jump on, we're gonna start talking about Alabama. Oh man, yeah, I got 3 kids still awake. Probably more, but 3 kids that are too young to know to not be making noise. Anyway, yeah, we'll see. Aaron, did you mute yourself? It looks like you're muted. I don't remember seeing that. Anyway, so how are we feeling now that we're a week removed, having processed the Chiefs' loss to the Bengals?
Can you
What do
hear
you
me
guys
now?
think?
Hello, hello. No, nothing.
Weird.
God damn.
Is there anything in mic settings? I don't know what's going on, Aaron. You might just have to like restart your computer or something. This is weird.
I'll try it.
Anyway, yeah, I'm still in between. I'm still utterly in between on everything. Just like there's a lot of positives, we still had a chance to win that game with all these different things going on, right? All these new players on our team. Bengals still were throwing new stuff at us in this game. I'll say this: if they manage to throw even more new stuff I'm assuming we're going to see them again in the playoffs. If they manage to still throw new stuff at us or stuff we're not ready for, I think I'm going to be really, really frustrated. But I mean, otherwise, yeah, there's positive, there's negative. So we'll see. Holly's with us. Holly, glad you're with us. I hope you're feeling okay here. Reach out to Gooch and find out what his magic elixir is, Holly. Whatever's helped heal him, I think 3 times. Anyway, hopefully Aaron can get things figured out and Gooch can join us. I don't know how long we're going to stay here. Kind of think all of us are kind of a little bit exhausted. So anyway, I don't think our Broncos preview is going to take too long, but Holly, it's all natural. Vitamins and minerals stuff. So, but it's totally legal in all 50 states, as far as I know. But yeah. I guess I can go ahead and give my preview while we're waiting for Gooch and Aaron trying to get things worked out with the sound. But I think I might have started to give this preview a couple of weeks ago. There was an article that came out in the Athletic, Ted and Wynn, and there's somebody else. There was a co-author on it. And they did a piece on Russell Wilson specifically. Like,
Can you hear me now?
Don't hear anything yet, but they did a piece on Russell Wilson specifically, breaking down like what the issue's been and basically what scheme the Broncos can run to kind of take advantage of Russell Wilson's current strengths. And it was a very pessimistic article that essentially said the things that made Russell great are things, for the most part, he can't do anymore. He just doesn't have the burst with his legs to be mobile enough to be a threat that way. It seems like he doesn't like to really throw a whole lot from the pocket because he is shorter, but he's just not really mobile enough to make anything happen. And, we know from his years with Seattle, the big way he killed you was the deep ball. And I've always said, like, that's the one positive I always had about Russell Wilson is he threw like that pretty, like, super difficult deep ball. It was special in the way that it just dropped out of the sky at such an angle to where basically only his receiver could catch it. But to me, that was always his biggest strength, was just having that ability, to do that. But
Can you hear me now?
you got to have the receivers that can do that. You have to have the offensive line that holds up long enough to do that. And I think at this point, I think the NFL knows what his weaknesses are. Like, he hasn't been good with his reads this season. He will not throw over the middle. He's afraid to throw over the middle.
My mic isn't working.
I
My
think in a
mic
lot of
isn't
ways,
working.
between the whole Broncos offense's weaknesses and Russell's weaknesses on paper, this is a matchup where our defense should destroy their offense. And I say on paper,
What?
so yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
I thought so.
Aaron, they say they can hear you, so yeah. I can't hear you, but they can hear you, so I guess we can figure things out. Or I can leave and try to come back in if they can hear you. But not really sure what's going on there. I can hear you very faintly now. Anyway, so yeah, that's offense or defensively for us. This game should be a lot easier than the Bengals game because the things that Joe Burrow did, Russell Wilson can't do. He's not going to be able to take off like Burrow did. He's not going to throw over the middle like Burrow did, so that to me that only makes our job easier on defense. And our defensive backs aren't covering receivers even close to the quality of push off Chase and T Higgins and Tyler Boyd. And they don't have a running back even close to as good as either Pirine or Mixon is. And oddly enough, Cincinnati's offensive line has actually gotten a lot better the last 5 or 6 weeks, outside of the Steelers game. So, even that seemed like a negative, but the fact of the matter was they were actually improving. So maybe our defensive line can actually get home in this game. I think I saw that Quinn Meinertz might not play, and they might be bringing a kid up from the practice squad.
Their offensive line isn't very good anyway.
Right. I can hear you now. Right.
Perfectly, or
Yeah, perfectly.
I don't know what was going on. I'm guessing streaming.
Weird. But yeah, their offensive line wasn't good to begin with. It hasn't been all Russ that's been bad. Like basically the whole offense has been bad, but Russ has definitely not helped at all. We've all seen some of the games, right, where he was missing open guys. He wasn't even looking to one side. Like his reads have been terrible this year. I think they're on to what? Latavius Murray is their running back.
Hey, Frankie.
So, yeah, again, on paper, this looks like a game where our defense should just be able to crush their offense. But this team doesn't seem to play anywhere close to what they should on paper. Hopefully, after last week, they're ready to go, and they're a little pissed off. But listen, I'm not going to count on it. I'm also not going to count on a blowout. I think the Vegas is over on this game was like 43.5 points. I don't do score predictions, but the one I gave Dan Andrews of Dan Talks Football was 24-9. I see it as a lower. I think the Broncos defense is good enough that they're going to slow our offense down a bit. Of course, it's going to depend on the refs, but the Broncos, and this information is from Brett Coleman, by the way. He did an excellent breakdown on KCSN earlier this week, but the Bengals, one of the things they did against us was their cover 6. They ran a decent amount of cover 6, and that was kind of one of their most successful things that they did against us. The Broncos are third in the NFL in running that. And as Brett believes that the Broncos, having seen the Bengals tape now, is going to up their percentage of that coming in this game. So, I mean, we'll see. I think Evero, I think that's his name, their defensive coordinator. I believe he was part of the. He learned under Vic Fangio as well. So it's not like he's any kind of slouch. I think they're smart enough to see some of the things that the Bengals did to attack us, especially the way they had their defensive ends lining up, basically in like a wide 9, and Orlando just, he overset to go out and let himself get beat inside. And let me just take this moment. Don't kill me, Aaron. I'm going to take this moment because Thunder Dan called me out on his show, told me ahead of time that he was going to be talking about the topic over Twitter. Tuned in and I saw it. He called me out by name. So I'm just going to say this. There's a little bit of a beef over who was at fault on that play, that third down play. Jeff Schwartz said it was not Nick Allegretti's responsibility to help out Orlando Brown. Jeff Schwartz, NFL football player, former NFL guard, former Kansas City Chiefs football player. I'm going to take his word over anybody else's. So I'll just leave it at that.
I would love to see that, Frankie, or watch Orlando Brown play a perfect game, allowing 0 pressures and 0 QB hits.
I think if that happens, you almost have to question your defensive coordinator. I think, they traded Chubb, but is it Barron Browning out of Ohio State?
That sounds right.
He's a quick kid. Orlando can't do quick. I mean,
Right.
Again, that's one of the things that the Bengals did really well. That's part of Orlando's game is he's tall. He has long arms. Power, as Gooch would say, is his game. And he wins by being able to reach out in front of someone quickly and get his hands on them. Again, the Bengals had guys in a wide 9, so he was having to take steps to even get out to reach, to even get his hands on someone. Problem was, they're a lot quicker than he is. So he was taking his steps. His weight distribution was terrible, and he was leaning to the left as he was taking those steps. And then the guy's quick enough to just run right by him where he was. So if you're a defensive coordinator, every defensive coordinator should be watching that. And as we talked about this in the offseason, my concern was every defensive coordinator was going to watch last year, and they were going to put their speed guy on Orlando's side, regardless if the guy normally rushes from that side or not, simply because, that's the biggest weakness on our offensive line. So to me, it was brilliant what the Bengals did, and it pisses me off to say it. But you have a guy that's out so far, and Orlando was just as a tackle, you cannot let yourself get beat inside. You cannot do that. You cannot overset like that. And especially, I'm pretty sure McKinnon was supposed to help Chip on the outside on his way out. And so, yeah. I just expect that if you're a defensive coordinator that is good enough to keep your job next year, you're going to have it schemed up in ways that there's no way that Orlando's getting a perfect game. Like, it would take Andy actually giving him help on every down. Sorry, don't mean to sound pessimistic. This is more, I guess, to me, it's the realistic side of things. Like, if you don't take advantage of Orlando Brown as a defensive coordinator, you probably shouldn't have your job after this year.
It would be great to see, though.
It would. It would be nice to see the winning Powerball numbers on my Powerball ticket if I played.
Yeah,
I don't think it
play to win.
That would be nice to see as well, Holly. A stress-free Chiefs game.
It should be, especially on paper, but as we know, divisional games never go that way, especially.
Right.
It should be like 40-10.
It's always...
But yeah, I'd say the score you said is pretty good. 24-9.
24-9. Yeah. I can't see Denver getting a touchdown on us. I really can't.
I could see the refs putting them on the one with the pass interference call.
I mean, it could happen. I forget. What do these guys call?
Murray could possibly get a yard on us.
Yeah, that could definitely happen. Let's see.
Frankie just gave you the winning numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm guessing there's never been.
We shouldn't put that up on the screen, though.
Yeah, now you got to share it with 9 million other people. It doesn't matter anyway, right? Wasn't there like a huge $1 billion one, and basically by the time the IRS takes it, there's like 300 million left or something. Not that that's terrible. That's Russell Wilson type money.
Are you taking the cash option or what?
I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
That depends on the percentage. Welcome, Jameson.
Hey, Robert. Jameson.
Robert made it.
So the ref for tomorrow is Craig Rolstad. He promoted from field judge to referee in 2014 and has officiated 7 Chiefs games. And that includes postseason. Last regular season game he did with Kansas City was week 5 of the 2019 season against the Colts, which we lost. Overall, we're 3-4 when he is the referee.
That's not good.
And, well, he did do the preseason game this year, for what that's worth, the one where Pat came out and they did the choir huddle.
So he called us for a penalty on that?
And then, let's see. So far this season, his crew has the second fewest called penalties at 101. They average 9 penalties a game, which is the third lowest. They also have the second fewest dismissed penalties in the NFL, so basically they do a good job the first time at getting it right, supposedly. This is all according to Charles Goldman of Chiefs Wire, by the way. Offensive holding and false starts have been the calls that his crew's called more than any other. I don't think false starts really an issue with us unless, like I said, Baron Browning, if he's matched up on Orlando, that could be. Orlando's been known to have games where he basically false started every play to get that half a second advantage. So I don't know that it would happen, but it's certainly possible. But anyway, Charles Goldman says it's not good news for Broncos because they could, as we said, they could be missing Quinn Meinertz and they already have the second most false start penalties in the league this season. So
we've got to have the most for ineligible man downfield.
Man, it's the RPOs. You got to get the ball out fast. Got to get the ball out fast.
Seems like twice a game, even.
Aaron, how have you not done this yet? Now
Done
we're
what?
made it so we're ACK. Where's Gooch? I feel like he's trying to get out on us tonight.
He's the one that said we were definitely doing it.
You know, Gooch.
And then he doesn't show up.
12:45.
We should just get in and say it's going to be a Gooch show tonight and get out. See what happens. I wouldn't want to do that to everybody, though.
What do you think here? Aaron Hawley says a lot are talking about how scary the Broncos defense is. Do you agree?
They've definitely got a damn good defense.
Yeah, I think it's...
I think you're right. I think they will slow us down some. I'm thinking 27. 27 to 31 range.
Well, 27 is only a field goal more than mine, so I mean I'm not going to argue that. Or I guess with mine you could say a field goal, with yours you could say a touchdown and another missed PAT. Those would both work. Frankie says 48-3.
Yeah, I saw that.
Frankie's
getting crazy tonight with the numbers.
That's in the Thunder Dan range. On paper, I can see where you're coming from, but on the Broncos end of things, I halfway jokingly posed this on Twitter this week as a poll and said, how many points combined for both games against the Broncos would our defense have to give up for you to be in favor of firing Spags, right? Because the Broncos average something like 12.8, 13.2 points per game, something like that, right? So I think that's right. Maybe that's how many they've given up.
13.2. No, you're right.
So that's 26.4 points, right? 2 games. I could easily see us having one of those 2 games where we give up that in a game. Simply because it seems like that happens sometimes. Like we look on paper, right? Like you looked on paper and we should have sacked Matt Ryan like 15 times and just murdered the Colts. Did that happen? No. Like it just seems to happen. I don't know that we've had a game this year that played out anywhere close to the way it looked on paper.
Right.
I mean, like that's the thing that concerns me the most, because I think you'll get a lot of these, if not 48-3, I think you'll get a lot of scores that are somewhat closer to that, have us winning by 25, 35 points. So
is that right? They haven't scored over 20 points all year. That's nuts. But yeah, watch it happen against us.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. If that happened, how do you not get pissed off at Spags if that happens? It shouldn't happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, watch Russell Wilson's been crap all year and he's going to blow us up just because, even though he doesn't have his receivers pretty much. He's got Dulcich and maybe Judy. Is Hinton healthy? I don't. I know Cortland Sutton's out.
Yeah, Sutton's out.
I'd say he's the main red zone target.
I mean, again, like I said earlier, just the fact that we went from covering, push off Chase and Higgins and Boyd to these guys right there, is a huge drop off in talent. So Frankie says one time against the Raiders, week 4, they scored 23 points.
Still.
Which, I mean, the Raiders.
Get Jameson's point here.
The Raiders. The Raiders did make Baker Mayfield look like a good quarterback. So. Oh man, yeah. Chris was putting all these stats up here. Chris, I'm telling you, man, it's like, oh.
They're facts.
Listen, I will be happy if it plays out that way.
Absolutely.
It's not that it's not 100% sound logic and I don't get it all. I absolutely do. It's just that it seems like when on paper and when things logically seem that way with this team, it just doesn't happen that way.
So, I like Chris's score prediction too.
Let me see. What was it? I missed it. 28.
I've got it up.
Okay. So, yeah, that's a 22 point margin. Mine was what? 13-point margin? 14-point margin? Yeah, we'll see. I'll
say 27-17.
I mean, I guess, we could have scored more against the Bengals. If you don't have the Travis touch, the Travis fumble there, you don't have the missed field goal. You don't have that super late flag that took away the interception. Have you guys all seen the replay of that? Like, you want people to believe that, and I don't want to get on a, yelling at the refs tangent, but if you want people to believe in the integrity of the game and you throw a flag for, DPI, that flag should not come like 3.5 seconds after the supposed DPI. Like, it literally did come after Thornhill made the interception.
Yep.
And everything about that is wrong. The whole appearance of it is wrong. Like, the way it comes off when you're looking at it is,
It was way delayed.
I could throw this flag, but I'm not going to throw this flag unless something. Oh, it did. Unless something bad happens for the Bengals here, then I'll throw it. Like, if he hadn't made the interception and it just been an incomplete, would he have thrown the flag? I don't, it's like, was he only going to throw the flag if the Bengals didn't catch it? Was he only decided to throw the flag after the interception? Like, because that's how it seemed. Like,
seems like a lot of our turnovers have come back on penalty.
It's just,
now that I'm thinking about it, I can think of 3 times that it has. One of them being the Chris Jones sack against Carr. He had the ball out in his own hands as he's taking him to the ground or falling to the ground. There he is.
No, now he's with us.
In the flesh, so to speak.
Not that we can see.
What was that?
You said in the flesh, so to speak.
I don't know how you understood that. Sounded Cajun.
Oh, there he is. I haven't seen that face in weeks, Gooch.
Yeah, it's been a long damn time.
We didn't even scream. Wait a minute. Gooch, can you lean your head to the side a little bit? Other way. Can you lean forward a little
LSU?
bit? Yeah, that looks like LSU.
He is Cajun.
Get off the camera on me.
It does. It smells like
This
Are you a burro lover now? What's going on here?
No. One of my friends' houses I'm over, he's a LSU fan. And he likes to make fun of the fact that the only chair he asked me to sit in is an LSU chair, being a Bama fan.
I'm gonna hold this here.
I don't know how they got you to.
I would set it on fire with me in it
Don't put your face. I'll do the left.
if it wasn't for the fact that it was his chair.
Over the top.
I'm gonna say Gooch is getting soft. The Gooch I know would rather stand than sit in an LSU chair.
But it tastes.
I'm getting old, brother.
Tastes like Arabian spices.
Plus, he's got to be able to be seen on the camera.
Yeah. Man, you can actually see that thing too. I may have to turn the camera.
Are you actually in town?
I am.
Wow.
No, it's a Christmas miracle.
Right?
Trust me, I know.
What are you doing for the game?
Albatross does a movie night.
I don't know. Keys usually streams it, and you usually have to work.
Don't this week.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I
hey.
have a visitor.
I don't have to stream it, do I?
I don't have inventory to do.
We got second Star Wars trivia. We won Lord of the Rings.
All right.
And I did end up getting called that we didn't have to last Sunday, which is probably the only reason I was around for a post game.
Holly's buying into it.
I don't think the post game is going to be much of a post game. And
Well,
probably
moderating for a bit and watching Locked On kind of gets me cooled down a little bit by the time we go.
Oh man.
Watching everybody saying fire Spags, trade Mahomes.
The trade Mahomes stuff is just dumb. Like, even if there was a world where it worked,
I'm sorry, you said what?
Trade Mahomes.
yeah.
Fire
Who said
Andy,
that?
fire Spags.
Who said that?
People in the chats. And then you got the Bengals fans coming in.
Not this chat. In
Who
the
day,
Locked On chat or
whatever
their
that
chat.
means.
Morons.
Well, at least the Fire Spags chat isn't completely illogical like the Mahomes is.
Right. I could see merit behind it.
Well, let me ask you guys. I asked people on Twitter. You guys never get on Twitter to vote in the poll. I asked people on Twitter this last week, Gooch, so I want to hear from both of you guys. I said, in these two games, the Chiefs are getting ready to play against the Broncos. Broncos are scoring, what was it? What did we say, Aaron? 13.2 points per game? I said, how many points combined does the Chiefs defense have to give up in these two games for you to be on board with the Chiefs firing Spags after this season?
40.
40 combined, so 20 a game. That's what about a touchdown more per game than what they average.
Yep.
What if it was in one game? What if they gave up like 35 points in one game and then the next game they came back and only gave up like a touchdown?
Depends on the situation, but probably I'd be behind it.
Yeah, I just think that offense is so terrible, and you've had all this time now. You got all kinds of film on him in this offense, and that offense isn't getting healthier. Like,
We've won 13 in a row against them.
it's been what, 2015? That was like half my family ago.
How awesome is that?
And that
Manning's killing us.
is saying something. Keys got halfway down his line and we started winning games. So maybe this means, like Danny Shires, Keys needs to just become Keys baby maker.
I ain't gonna happen anymore.
It's already been 8, Gooch. What do you want from the man?
3
We
more,
already
and he's
have
got
trouble getting him on here.
2 more, and he's got the entire Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes.
All right, Holly
Gotta start
said,
feeding those kids.
And I think
Bulk 'em
he'd have
up.
to give up. I think he'd have to give up 30 a game to the Broncos. That's what I think. I
per
think
game?
I think
For it to actually happen, or for you to want
yeah,
him gone?
for it to actually happen, I think.
That would be 3 times
Because
their scoring average.
I just feel like there are some games that he makes good halftime adjustments and obvious of our ranked defense and stuff like that. And then you also have to figure they gave his whole secondary outside of Sneed. Really, what he's playing is rookies besides Sneed, Thornhill, and Reed is new to the defense. But I mean, you got rookies playing significant snaps at important positions, and we're still higher than middle of the road on defense. I think, if anything, what's really condemning for him is the fact that, for some strange reason, in games where there should be a difference between the opposing team's offensive line and our defensive line and linebackers, it's almost like we've got the weaker position group. But then when we play against names or stud left tackles or centers or interior linemen, it seems like Chris and them step their game up for that. So I don't know if it's he doesn't know how to motivate these guys, um, because we're not winning at the point of attack against teams that we should be embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? You're playing the Niners offensive line or whatever like that. Like, the Niners are really, aside from quarterback, almost a complete team. You're showing them up on that, even if they're hurt. Like, look how good they've been. You know what I'm saying? And then you get against Cincinnati's O line, who we know were playing third stringers all the way across the line because they're injured, and we still can't touch Burrow. Still.
So I'll throw this out, Gooch. I think I mentioned it before you got on, like way at the beginning here. The Bengals actually, I think it's the last 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks, they've actually had full offensive line continuity. Like, they're the only team in the NFL that's had like the same guys play together. I want to say it's the last 6 or 7 weeks. I don't remember. I saw it on Twitter earlier today. They've only had one game during that stretch where the offensive line didn't at least have a positive grade. And I'm getting that terminology wrong, but you'll get the idea from it. The only negative game they've had during that 6-game stretch was against the Steelers. For me, I got to wonder, is that because Brian Flores is a genius when it comes to simulated pressures, amoeba fronts and all of this stuff, which is why I'd rather Brian Flores is available next year and doesn't get a head coaching job. I don't care how good
when
Spags
he
does,
came available, I was like, come on, Andy, pull the trigger.
right?
I was like, come on, Andy, that's the guy. You know what I'm saying? But Andy is so loyal. You also posted something on Twitter. I didn't respond to it because I really didn't know how to take it. And you were like, if you had to choose one, I think it was Andy and Spags versus Peyton and Rex Ryan or something like that, for the Chiefs coaches, or something like that. It was if you could get rid of one, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, man, that's tough.
Yeah, it was more of a it was kind of more of a, it kind of put yourself in a catch-22 situation there. Like, how much more when you take Andy and you take Spags together and you compare them against like a Sean Payton and a Rex Ryan or a Vic Fangio or a Brian Flores. Like, if you had to choose,
Flores.
You keep Andy, but if you keep Andy, you have to keep Spags the whole time you have Andy, or you can move on and you get Sean Payton and you get one of those 3 defensive coordinators, So it's, I don't know, it's kind of one of those thinking things. It's supposed to be
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
but yeah, just kind of a for fun thing. But yeah, so that, I mean, the Bengals offensive line has actually been, over the last 6 or 7 weeks, preceding the Chiefs game, was a lot better. And they did some crazy stuff in that game. I don't know if you guys saw the one clip I shared on Twitter. I know Frankie saw it because I shared it in the RGR Discord. I forget now. Brian Baldinger tweeted out the video. It's called triple trap double scoop, where the Bengals offensive line actually had 3 traps on one run play against our defensive line. Like they and Gooch, I want to get back to this because of what you said a minute ago about when we play really good offensive lines compared to when we play really, not good or offensive lines, and we're all expecting pressure like this kind of game, right? You tell me what you think, Gooch. Here's my theory on this, because we saw it when we played the 49ers on offense and defense, right? We didn't really have a problem with Nick Bosa on the defensive side either. So here's my theory, Gooch. We've seen it as Chiefs fans this season. We get basically every other team's best shot. Like the Bengals are pulling extra stuff like this out, and it's a regular season game, and I got to ask myself, why? Why would you not save this kind of stuff, for a postseason matchup? But so we're getting everybody's best shot, and it seems like a lot of the time we don't really add in extra stuff. Our mindset is we're good enough that we're just going to beat you. What if that's kind of what we see with some of these other games? So we face the 49ers offensive line. Maybe their mindset is, you know what? We're good enough that we're just going to beat you without having to do anything extra. So our defensive line doesn't get anything. Compare it to, say, Broncos game, hypothetically tomorrow, technically today now. The Broncos know their offensive line is complete trash. So now all of a sudden they have a lot of extra work to do to try to slow down our defense. They can't mail the game in like the 49ers do with their offensive line, just saying, it's talented enough, it'll figure itself out. Like it seems like sometimes our coaching staff does. It's good enough. We don't have to put in the extra work against this team to improve our offensive line. We don't have to. We're not going to give Orlando all these extra chips or keep a tight end on his side and do all this extra stuff. I mean, could that be a plausible theory? Why it seems like sometimes against great offensive lines we do better, and sometimes against worse offensive lines we don't? I don't know. I could be completely dumb.
I think it's both ways. I think you answered the question without even knowing it. I think the difference between
was it the I don't know?
Our team and a lot of teams is like you ask yourself, why is Cincinnati bringing out all this extra stuff in a regular season game? And why does it look like we're not doing anything different? And I think in Andy's mind, because it kind of makes sense, even with Spags, I'm sure Andy's telling him, like, we're not putting anything extra in because we already know we're talented enough to make the playoffs. So when we start doing all the other things that we've been working on that we're going to not put on film, it's not going to get on film until the playoffs. And you wouldn't have had time to prepare for it. Or maybe Spags snuck a different look in real quick and then went back to normal just to see if the team could bounce around and do it. And we feel like, okay, with as much talent as we have, we should be able to hang, and eventually the ball will bounce our way and we'll get the win. And then in the playoffs, we'll bring out all this other crap that we've been working on for 17 weeks and kind of throw people off. The issue is that the issue I have with that though is that if you don't uh, put it into some sort of use during the regular season, when you try to whip it out, there's always the propensity for failure because it's like, oh, we've been working on this in practice, but we've never really had to do it in the real game. It's a catch-22. You know what I'm saying? But I really think a lot of why it looks like we're not doing anything different is because we're not, and we've got all this other stuff that we want to use because, like, well, we're good enough to make the playoffs. Everybody thinks we're only going to win 9 games. We've already won 9. You know what I'm saying? So playoffs are pretty much locked up for us. All we got to do is win 1 or 2 more games. We know we're going to get in. And for all intents and purposes, if you want to be honest, if you're looking at the AFC, the best coach and quarterback is on the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, I'm not saying defensive coordinator, but you've got to wonder what Andy has cooked up more than he has to wonder what you have cooked up. Because I guarantee you there's more in that little vault of his that we haven't seen. But
Guaranteed.
as Key said, you get everybody's best shot. And what happens if you get to that playoff game, you want to bring all that stuff out, but they done popped you in the mouth already, and they've got that 21-point lead. And yes, Mahomes has the best record ever of coming back from 10-point deficits and stuff like that. But the law of averages state eventually you're going to come back to the mean. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to always be that good. Hence the Super Bowl that Keys likes to bring up where we got embarrassed. And they just figured that doing the same thing was going to get them because they were talented enough. Like, I've noticed and I've actually gotten scared because it seems like Mahomes is regressing, but nobody sees it. I see it. You know what I'm saying? He was hitting 9, 10 different receivers every game. And then last game, that number was significantly diminished. Juju had 2 targets. Sky Moore didn't have any. You know what I'm saying? Travis really didn't get, he got thrown to, but he didn't really make a catch or any yards to the second half. It was almost like, I don't know what it is. Are the Bengals Mahomes' kryptonite? Does he, for somebody with a photographic memory, and they've done this same stuff to him, it's almost like he can't see it. That's what I worry about. And that was a whole last tangent, but you know where I'm going. Go ahead, Keith. You're the talker. I'm usually just
What do you guys think about the possibility of Tyreek helping us sew up the division tomorrow?
I haven't really given it any thought. I don't really care.
It really depends on if Tua turn the ball over is playing or not. They looked really, 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 really great when it was warm. And it started to get cold, and they are looking shaky. And they still have to go to, is it Buffalo and Baltimore?
I don't know if they have to go to each place. I'll have to look really quick.
Oh, I know they have to go to Buffalo because their win was in Miami.
Well, it won't be a factor tomorrow.
And the Jets are sneaky good.
Yeah, they snuck up on Buffalo last time. Do they do it again?
Yeah, they're going to Buffalo. They go to Buffalo next Saturday night.
Oh, that'll be interesting because there'll be a snowstorm up there. They're saying 8 to 12 inches, blizzard-like conditions, but not enough to really shut down the stadium or anything. That could be interesting.
You're going to be stuck there again?
They do kind of luck out, though, in that they play the Packers and Jets in Miami Christmas Day and then January 8th. But they do have to go to New England on New Year's to play the Patriots. So depending on the weather there, you're looking at 2 more cold weather games, Bills and Patriots.
And on top of that, they may sneak into the playoffs, but there's a good possibility that everywhere you have to go is going to be cold. Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati. I mean,
They just need to make sure they get that 2 seed.
Yeah. How you think it plays out? Think the Chiefs get the 1?
Yes.
Man, I mean, when you were talking, I was thinking, yeah, Cincinnati did have to show everything they showed in that game, because if they'd lost to us, and again, they only won by 3 points, and it really came down, however you want to cut it, lots of factors, but it really came down to Travis's fumble. And I'm not dogging him. And if you heard him on New Heights, you would, he basically said it 40 times himself,
Takes full responsibility.
But if that fumble doesn't happen, the Chiefs probably win that game, and the Bengals are 7-5. And my argument was that they can't win that division, falling behind like that. Of course, the Ravens have kind of had their own hiccups of late anyway themselves, especially with Lamar's injury. So that helps the Bengals out. But the Ravens had a pretty easy rest of their schedule as well. And, one of my biggest arguments was until the Chargers just lost and a lot of the games that didn't go the way I wanted them to this last weekend, there was a path where you had teams where the Bengals were like the 5th or 6th seed, and you had 3 or 4 teams who have a much easier schedule that could jump them, and they could have ended up eliminated from the playoffs if, things had worked out right, like Baltimore staying healthy, Jets winning, Chargers winning, Patriots winning, those kinds of things. So, yeah, I mean, they really did actually have to show that stuff. But yeah, I forgot what your actual question was, though, Gooch.
Does it bother anybody else that the Bills could not win their division and still be the number 1 seed?
But they have to beat Miami.
Yeah, they have to beat Miami, but if they end up tied with Miami, Miami has the tiebreaker and the division. But if Buffalo has the better record, at the end, they'll still be the number 1 seed.
Nah, it is what it is.
I still think it goes through Arrowhead. I'm scared for Josh Allen. I love him as a talent. I think he's great. He's talented. I don't think he's better than Mahomes, but I think they're playing him hurt, and it's going to limit his career.
I agree with that.
I like good football. I'm going to always be a Chiefs fan, and I can respect talent when you see it. Like, I still believe that Patrick Mahomes is probably the best quarterback in football, but I still think as far as pure thrower, he's not where Aaron Rodgers is yet when Aaron's on, because they both are similar to me. When they're on, nobody makes passes like them. Aaron just has more years of doing it. But I think the gap between Mahomes and everybody else is still significant, except for the fact that now they're saying Caleb Williams is the next Mahomes.
Who's that?
The USC quarterback.
USC quarterback. Gooch, are you sure about that? Because what I just read said the division winner with the best record gets the number 1 seed in that conference. So you actually have to win the division. So whichever of the 4 division winners has the best record is the number 1 seed. is how I just read what I read. I'll keep looking. You guys keep talking.
I didn't know that. Oh no, nothing. I know. 1 year the Raiders went undefeated in the division, but because the Chiefs had the best record, they still didn't. There's something weird about that, though.
Yeah, I'll keep checking it out. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the rules that I don't know. You're wanting to change that to where whoever wins the most games inside the division gets the division?
Say what?
That's what it was.
Your mom
The
won't like
Raiders had the
you.
better
That's
record in the
fine.
division, but because the Chiefs had the overall record, the Chiefs still won the division. That's how that went. But the Raiders
Oh, I
won
see
more
what you're
games
saying.
in the division.
So you're talking about the Raiders had more division wins than the Chiefs, but the Chiefs had the better overall record.
Correct. And that's what I was saying about the East.
Yeah, I'm looking, but the one thing that I said it's the division winner with the best record. So it would be between the four teams that win their division. Who have
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
so from what I saw, we could see. I don't know. I could read something else that says something different. You know how the internet is.
So Dalton Reisner is supposed to be out too. So him and Miners are both out, even though we played second and third string and not done a damn thing.
It seems like our defensive line plays even worse when that happens.
We seem to play to the level of our competition, and I hate seeing it.
Yeah, was it the Colts that they had like the third string left tackle in? I want to say in that game. Is that right? You guys remind me. I
think it was more recent than that, but I can't. It was the Rams had a bunch of guys out.
They did too, yeah.
That's who I was thinking of. But yeah, Jones should be in the backfield all day tomorrow, along with Saunders.
Well, I mean, I think people take advantage, or they take for granted how good Jones is, that when he actually wins and he gets in the backfield, it's usually because he's had to get past two or three guys to get there. Like, everybody knows by this point, our defensive line pressure is Chris Jones, and not to let him beat you. And if he doesn't beat you, then you have much better odds, because the other guys on the defensive line, for the most part, except for, I'll say, at least in my opinion, from what my recollection, Carlos Dunlap, most of the other guys haven't been getting pressure. But we will have Brandon Williams did get signed to the active roster. So we're going to have a new defensive tackle in this game. We'll see how that goes. If he makes any kind of impact, if how much playing.
He's a run defender.
Yeah.
He's big like Shelton. He's a run defender.
Right. My understanding, when he was with Baltimore, he was a straight up zero tech. That's what he was. He was a nose. So that was his job. So we'll see. I think he sat out the last year and a half, had injuries and stuff. I think that's right, but
crazy.
But yeah, if he's healthy, he looks jacked. He's like 33 though, so But I think that kind of tells you the state of this defensive line that you get excited and hopeful over a 33-year-old, especially when it comes to the run game. We've just been talking about the pass game, but
He should be clever.
so. And then Gooch, I got to throw it out there since my Iowa boy got elevated from the practice squad for this game, Amir Smith-Marset. I'm really intrigued why they elevated him for this game. He does have kick return, punt return experience. He also has decent size for a receiver, so I mean it strictly could be because Tony being out and
Or they plan on
Like this one.
not using Tommy at the
Well, that's an
kick
Egyptian.
return.
This
When he
one
does
is
come
a
back, he'll be
traditional
strictly a receiver.
yeah. I think that would probably make sense from his perspective if Pacheco's getting a bigger role in the offense, kind of easing him off of kick return. Yeah, it'll be interesting though to see, and they could just be giving him a look. Yeah, we'll see. I just thought it was interesting when I saw it. Oh, that does remind me though. Going back to what you were talking about on defense, Gooch. I don't know if you guys caught the pressers at all this last week, but Spags was asked about putting Darius Harrison a little bit a drive or two and taking Willie out, and his main reasoning was to give some of these younger guys that experience against kind of in a playoff kind of atmosphere against a playoff caliber team. So it seems like Spags was somewhat mindful of that. And I think that's a great thing as far as being battle tested. So I just want to make it clear to people. I don't hate Spags. I like Spags as a person. And, as Gooch said, having all these rookies, what they've done this season, you have to give him, a hand for it. I think the frustrating thing is, and Gooch mentioned some of it for me, one of the frustrating things is this team has consistently not been good at tackling when Spags has been here. Like, I can't put that all on players. The last 3-4 years, whatever, as long as he's been here, we've had these games that have been atrocious. As far as missed tackles are, bring in new people. The only good tacklers we have on this team were either good tacklers when we signed them as free agents or good tacklers when we just drafted them this last year or so. Like,
We were having the same conversation about Sutton also.
I don't remember. My memory
Yeah.
doesn't go back that far. To me, that's the one thing. The other one, and you hit on it a bit too, Gooch, is attitude, the defensive attitude. And we all thought this is one thing where I think we would all say we are underwhelmed. We were ecstatic because we were overwhelmed. Like, our expectations for how well the rookies would perform as early as they did, they far exceeded our expectations there. But after this draft, when we got players like Brian Cook and Leo Chenal and stuff, we thought this defense was going to have a killer mentality, an enforcer mentality, and play a lot tougher than what they have been. They played kind of soft, and they've been pretty bad at tackling. So to me, that's kind of disappointing, and it's frustrating. I don't know if I necessarily want someone as outspoken and rough around the edges as Rex Ryan. He's like everybody's crazy drunk uncle that is going to say inappropriate things at the wedding. But I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I totally got sidetracked on that one. But
Hey, Hefe, I don't believe I got to say that yet, but Holly's actually bringing us people. So Jameson is a good friend of hers, but I won't share his team affiliation without permission, which is probably a good idea.
Yeah, hopefully not the Broncos. I mean, we haven't made any jokes, But
Do we need to?
hey, here's the thing: like Broncos and Raiders fans, and I understand that there's some annoying Raiders fans out there. There could be some annoying Broncos fans out there. Probably not really of the rest of the AFC West, Broncos fans probably aren't. They're like the least worst of the three. But there's like a point where, we make jokes and laugh, but then there's a point where you start to feel sorry for the fans because we went through this.
Yeah.
We went through years of poor head coaches. We went through years of trying to find the next good quarterback.
Absolutely.
So we went through years of having a great freaking defense and not having a quarterback. So, there's a lot of ways we can relate. And then, I think it's worse when you just blindly give Russ $250 million contract and all that guaranteed money to where you can't even get rid of him if you wanted to, type of
Blew
thing.
up in your face. We had a couple seasons where our punter was the MVP of the team. Old Dustin Colquitt putting it on the 1, or at least within the 10.
Right. And now Townsend gets paid like $1 million per punt.
What?
Colquitt was making like $20 a punt back when he started.
That was like 20 years ago.
I'm talking about the volume of punts, though. Like Tommy, Tommy's like, I might have to punt today. Probably not, but I might have one or two.
I get what you're saying now.
Dustin always had to keep that leg loose.
And he did. He'd have guys' backs at the bars, too. Seems like he got arrested one time for defending somebody on the offense. I wouldn't want to get kicked by the guy.
Hefe, you don't have to worry about that. They even if something happened to where they wanted to trade Mahomes,
I agree, though.
I mean, I can't even imagine, what would happen. I can't even imagine. Like, I don't know.
Something I was going to mention with this, if we could get more subscribers, because for some reason we're going in the wrong direction. I've seen at least 196, and we're back to 193. I don't know what we did to anger somebody, but we're a few.
I just haven't been on enough.
Is that it?
Yeah, we just haven't been on enough. And Keys hasn't done his rants. And he's got like all these videos in the vault that he refuses to put on the channel.
What? Why?
I don't have anything in the vault. I don't even have time to have a vault.
Throw some content out there. See what sticks.
Chiefs fans are a fickle group. They're either one extreme or the other. So, well, that's an extreme statement. Don't want to hastily.
You're a Chiefs fan.
But it seems like there's a lot that are either one or the other. And like, there's no room for debate. There's no room for being realistic. There's no, I don't know.
This is a very good point. Their defense does keep them in games.
Yeah. I mean, it's like everything is either fire Spags or how dare you even bother to question one thing that Spags did. There's no in between. Like, you can't say, listen, it's crazy to talk about firing so-and-so, but yeah, he made, here's the list of mistakes he made. It's like, you can't do that. Gooch knows. Like, you're treading on water, Gooch, just bought to a huge chunk of Chiefs Kingdom, mentioning that, having the audacity to say that Patrick has regressed a little bit.
You're back to hating Spags now?
What? I'm not saying that.
Oh, yeah. Heaven forbid I say that, man. I'm
Hey,
pitchforks and torches.
Like I'm not even exaggerating, guys. Like I was watching the Chiefs interviews and I was watching them on YouTube, and I forget who was talking. I think it was Spags, actually, ironically. And if you guys watch the interviews, you all know, right? You would think it would kill the Chiefs to have microphones set up in that room to pick up the reporters' questions.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
And somebody had the audacity. Somebody had the audacity to in the comments say something to the effect of, you would think that if we could afford to pay Patrick Mahomes, that we could put in an audio system to where we could hear the questions that were being asked. And somebody replied and was like, how dare you be rude or whatever about Patrick Mahomes? And it's like, that wasn't even the point of what they were saying. Like, I can't. Sorry.
What's this rant about? So back to your Spags deal. Would it count if Russell Wilson looked like the old Russell Wilson? As far as firing Spags, I'm guessing this was at that point.
I mean, I guess any given Sunday, I think for me, if it happened 2 games, then, that would be more of an issue. If the Broncos scored up to like 26 points, I wouldn't be 100% surprised. If they let it happen a second time, I think that would be a completely different question. Yeah.
Is McColl back?
I think he's still on IR. Yeah, he's still on IR. I know that because he's
This
on.
says he's back. I think he was practicing in a limited capacity. I don't know if he'll actually be on the field.
I'm pretty sure he's still on IR. He's on my fantasy team. He's still on my IR list.
Well, it lets you do it just when they're out.
Yeah, they do, but they still put the designation on there.
Typically.
Still says injured reserve.
That's Pacheco.
No, that's Hardman. Head coach Andy Reid said Wednesday that Hardman abdomen could return from injured reserve for the Chiefs' Week 15th game in Houston. Herbie Teope of the Kansas City Star reports. Reid noted that Hardman has resumed running and is doing well in his recovery from the abdominal injury, leaving the Chiefs optimistic the receiver might be ready to go when he's first eligible to come off IR next week.
Ryan's pretty good friends with that guy.
Herbie?
Yeah, what's the date on that?
The 7th, Wednesday. This was Wednesday. So it's from this week. So, yeah. He won't be eligible to come off until next week. He has been practicing, but he's not eligible to come off the practice or off of the injured reserve list yet.
Holly, I've been wondering this too. I've been wanting to see the I formation and just run it up the gut. Is Tooney back? Because I feel better about doing that with Tooney back than Allegretti out there.
Yeah, he should be.
Allegretti, but
everybody practiced. Even Tony practiced in some capacity.
Yeah, I think they were still limited.
Yeah.
I swore they said something about McColl practicing.
Yeah, what I read just said he was practicing, but he's still on IR. Let's see. See if I have anything about that. Yeah, all it said All it said was everybody worked in some capacity. So it didn't really say on Tooney.
Did they say anything about Niang?
No, I haven't heard anything on Niang.
But
Last thing I heard
no, the
was
wrestler.
Tony game time decision. He could still miss this game, and McCall still has to miss 2 more games because he was put on the IR.
Another guy that lived next door to me, I told you about Basil. Basil
McCool still has to miss 2 more games. Why?
Because they put him on the IR list, he has to miss 4.
Basil got a
Well, I mean, like I said, this says he could return week 15, which would be Houston next week. So how many games?
So that would be his 4th game then. This would be his 4th game.
Yeah, I have him on my team. Let's see. I have see, I don't know if he played. I think he did play. Oh, he didn't. Did he play Jacksonville or did they not play him and then put him on IR after the game? Right? Is that what they did?
Well, he had a couple snaps, but I think he made a catch or whatever, but then he was hurt and they took him out and put him on IR.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the 0-point games, and that's what I'm going by. So 0 for Jacksonville, 0 Chargers, 0 Rams, 0 Bengals. So, yeah, this would be his 4th game. There's no way he's been active and healthy. He would have been active and healthy and not had at least 1 point. So,
I gotta agree with Robert on this. Mahomes needs to take what the defense gives him. Throw underneath if you have to. Take off running if you have to. I don't like running against Denver, though. That's how he popped his kneecap out.
so here's what I think is a small part of the problem with that. And I'm not going to say, it's a big problem, or that I completely disagree. I think a small problem with that, though, is the last 3rd down in the game where Brown gives up the pressure and Mahomes gets sacked. He had the guy open and he was trying to throw it when he got sacked. There was a play earlier in the game where he just missed Travis deep down the sideline, same thing with pressure. And so, like, the guys are there and you're talking about a touchdown in the one with Travis, and you don't have the global view that we do as fans to see that Orlando's giving up this pressure or Wiley's giving up this pressure. You're looking, you have the exact look that your coach told you you're going to have on this play, to have Travis wide open. He's going to have a walk-in touchdown. You see him and you cock up to make the throw, and then all of a sudden your offensive line is allowing you to get touched in the middle of this throw, or last split second, right as you're getting ready to throw, you have to hurry it. And so, I think that plays a part into it, to where the guys are open and you end up with a throw that's just a tad bit off, or you have a perfect throw to MVS. And I'm surprised Gooch hasn't talked about this yet. I forget who it was that broke this down. MVS, we all know, we've all heard from Packers fans, we all know doesn't have the greatest hands. The one he missed, he clapped his hands together, completely missed the ball. He clapped his hands together. Hands are too far apart when he goes to catch. The ball's already past him. He claps his hands together. And the one he did catch, he basically did the same thing. It went through his hands and then hit his body, and he trapped it there, a la Tyreek Hill with us for many years. So it's like, I think between some of these things, it's like, it's not necessarily that he shouldn't be taking the shot in his mind or from what he's been instructed to do from his head coach. It's that other guys aren't holding up their end of the bargain. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I completely agree. I think that's got to be a coaching point that's stressed. And I think we have to run some underneath stuff and some quick stuff to kind of make that happen more than what we do. It's kind of like we all argued get away from the RPOs because he doesn't want to hand the ball off in an RPO, even when his key tells him he should. Like sometimes you have to make the decision for him, type of thing. Well, we don't seem to ever want to do anything to aid when our tackles are getting beat to help out in the quick pass game. That's all I would say. Those two things.
Okay. And Robert agrees with Holly and I that we need to do the power run with Burton.
Who wouldn't want to see more
Burton
fullback
blocking.
involved? Well, I want to see a power run with Colin Saunders.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that too. Do the old refrigerator Perry, is that what you're saying? Or make him the fullback?
Both.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'd love to see it.
I'd love to clone him and have him be a fullback for himself.
Okay, so Robert thinks we need to cut the trick garbage in the red zone. What do you guys think on that?
I think for the most
right.
part, what was it, Rose Bowl, right? Whatever, that seemed to work in the Super Bowl. Some of this other stuff, like the Wildcat, just didn't make sense. And I put this in the RGR Discord, the stats on it. You know what? 2 formations have like the worst EPA, like on 3rd, 4th down. Maybe it was just in general. They're the 2 exact opposites, basically. Empty formation and Wildcat. And it's because of what I argued last week after we had the Wildcat formation. You make the defense's job too easy. When you go into empty, you tell them it's a pass. When you go into Wildcat with a running back there to receive the snap, you're telling them it's a run. Very few times is there going to be an added conflict in there. So you make it way too simple on them. Anyway.
Gooch. Okay, I guess we'll move on. So do you guys think Andy was holding back on his playbook in that game, knowing we have to play them in the playoffs? Chances are Chris Mansfield is asking. I say he's absolutely holding back. Did you catch that?
If Gooch said something, I didn't catch it. I heard you say you absolutely do think so. Well, I mean, I think by nature of Hardman and Tony not being in this game, it's going to at least appear that way, because when Hardman's back, the whole red zone offense changes. When Hardman's back and Tony's back, you're going to have plays in there that you didn't have in this game. If Sky Moore continues to progress, they're going to do different things with him as well. So, 6 weeks from now, 7 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, whenever it would be, we would play the Bengals again. I think just by nature of having those different receivers in the game, you're going to see different plays in it, and you're going to see a different offensive game plan in some sense. But
we should anyway.
I mean, yeah, you should anyway. Do I think you're asking about plays? I would think more strategy, like how we were planning to attack the defense. So I would hope by now we have figured out the the Bengals defense, and they keep switching it up. It's not like it's been exactly the same, and they've done the exact same thing all 3 times we played them in 2022. They do keep switching it up. So, but you can only switch things up so much. So hopefully, at the end of the day, your players have to execute. And that's the reason we lost, because players didn't execute. So I'm a Dolphins fan as well tomorrow, Holly.
Oh, did you answer my question from earlier?
And that's not my first time being a Dolphins fan. I was a Dolphins fan a couple of years ago when the Patriots had the 1 seed and played the Dolphins, right? There's been a few times we've been Dolphins fans. What, Aaron?
And we ended up with the number 1 seed.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, it is interesting. Tyreek might help with that.
I mean,
Win the division
my answer
for a
was, I
7th
guess I
straight
never
year.
thought a contribution would be in it. Like, I don't root one way or the other. I don't root for him to fail. I don't root for him to succeed. I just generally don't care. I'll care tomorrow. If he's got to be a big part of it for them to win, sure, then I'll be rooting for him. And not even because I 100% care about the 1 seed. I do. I would root for him if we had if we were 3 games up as far as the 1 seed was concerned, because I like rooting for Buffalo to lose.
What school is Caleb Williams with? USC.
USC. And
University of Southern California.
Yes. And
Actually sent me an application when I was in junior high.
just yeah. Here's a quote that he said. I don't know when he said it, but he said, and this was in regards to comparisons to being compared to Mahomes. He said, I don't think there's anything that I can't do that he's doing out there. I'm sure there's a different context in that, but anyway.
I took the ACTs. I don't remember if it was 7th or 8th grade because of my scores on the placement testing in 6th grade. And I put them down as I was interested. So they sent me an application that I couldn't apply for several more years.
Yeah, the weather probably would have been nicer.
Then when I took it again, they didn't send me shit. In high school. Of course, my girlfriend at the time wouldn't let me sleep, so.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, Robert. The only person I saw that was out for sure was Tony. He had already been ruled out.
I'm assuming that's fairly recent. Oh, Holly was allowed to share. It's a Titans fan. So we had a good game against them. Like usual. I don't hate the Titans. I think they've got one of the best coaches in the NFL. As we all do.
I don't have a lot of respect for Tannehill, but I mean,
no, not anymore.
And there were. I mean, I guess back. Not that he's slow or anything, but back when he took off, when he could really take off. But I mean, I would take him over Jittery Jimmy.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't take him over Garoppolo?
Nope.
I would. I think if you put him in Garoppolo's offense, he would look even better than what he looks in the Titans offense. I would trust his. I'll say it in the fourth quarter. I would trust his decision making more than I would trust Garoppolo's. I don't know.
I don't. I think they're fairly even, but I give the edge to Garoppolo. He's made it to the Super Bowl, at least. He was barely off on a pass that would not have been good for us.
I'm not seeing anything on Frank. Doesn't mean it's not true.
But yeah, I think Tannehill's way more wishy-washy anymore, if not towards the bad end. Not that Garoppolo doesn't have his boneheaded moments. But who doesn't? I am not sure what you're talking about here, Holly. I feel like the Chiefs aren't ignorant to that.
Oh. To the fact that you can't hear them. I want to say somebody told me that they actually have like hanging microphones in the ceiling of the press room. I don't remember who it was. I swear someone told me that. And like they just don't ever flip the switch to turn them on or something. I could be making that up. I could have had a dream where I was talking with someone about it, but I swear somebody told me they actually have like hanging microphones in that press room. And it's just a matter of them actually like turning them on or like unmuting them or something.
I'm not sure why they would even be in there or what you would do with that. Oh,
Yeah,
here's Danilo. Hey, buddy.
I guess if it was a matter of them being ignorant, like why would they care? Because back when everything was done via Zoom or however they were doing it, like you could actually hear their questions. So it wasn't a matter of like hearing the question, it's a matter of all the like the side chatter. If it is hanging microphones, is it a matter of like the side chatter of all the reporters like whispering and all of that? Like, I don't know. All I know is it sucks as a fan. Like you have to kind of guess what the question is based on the response given by, whoever's talking for the Chiefs half the time. It's hyperbole, Holly. It feels like Townsend is being paid $1 million per punt, and back during the Brody Croyle, Brady Quinn, Tyler Palco, Tyler Thigpen. Do you guys remember that? Tyler Thigpen. Do you guys remember Chan Gailey putting together the Thigbone offense?
Thigbone?
The Thigbone offense. Yeah, that's what they called it. Chan Gailey because Tyler Thigpen was the quarterback and he was, actually a decent runner. Chan Gailey put together the Thigbone offense. Like there was a time when it seemed like Colquitt got paid like $20 a punt just because of how much he was punting. It's like there's a reason the Raiders have always had a good punter on their roster. Anyway. Only about $65,000 per punt. Only. Yeah, could you imagine that? Raise your hand if you make $65,000 a year. How would you like to make it on
I'll go punt it once.
one punt? Like, one punt. All right, honey. I'm home the next 364 days because we got this year's salary wrapped up.
That's funny.
Yeah. So Dan says no Hardman, no Tony, no Tooney, and Travis fumbled when Casey was driving to go up 2 scores. Andy isn't worried about the next matchup, and the ref stole the interception from Casey's D. Yeah, we talked about that. We argued about it. We didn't argue with each other.
Surprisingly.
We talked about the fact, Dan, that it was 3.5 seconds after the supposed DPI that the flag came out, which was conveniently after the interception. We talked about it. I think it's a stain on the NFL, like from an image standpoint, at the very least, from an image standpoint. And so maybe that's something I'm a little bit more anal about. I don't know.
Oh, good Lord. Check this out.
Playing a game of Madden right now, and Chiefs are up 73-21 in the third quarter. Everything will be fine. All right. This is against the Broncos, Frankie. Are you playing it or are you simming it? I know Dan does sims as well.
Danilo?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, he does them. Yeah, I could do one for this game. It could probably be a fun matchup to play, but games aren't played on paper and they're not played on Madden.
Which way are you guys leaning? Holly, Danilo, Frankie? Tannehill versus Garoppolo.
I'm still leaning Tannehill. I think he's the better quarterback.
I don't blame you.
Oh, here's what I should do.
You're wrong, but I don't blame you.
I should play my 8-year-old. I should play my 8-year-old. I'll be the Chiefs, and I'll play on like all Madden, and he can be like on rookie, and he can play the Broncos. And then I'll let you guys know what the score was, because that's about how this game should be.
Should be, yeah.
Like from a head coach and quarterback perspective, we blow them out of the water. They do have a great pass defense, though. They do have a good pass rush. All right, let's see what Frankie said there. All right. So what they said on the tour, I forgot. Frankie did the tour Arrowhead. I haven't been there in 25 years.
I did it like 5 to 7 years ago.
So I haven't got to do this tour. I haven't even seen all the renovation stuff they did. But anyway, Frankie says that on the tour, what they said on the tour is that the presser room actually used to be the room they did film in prior to their new facility. And it was repurposed and recarpeted. Wait, what does that have to do with?
Did they kill somebody?
I thought he was going to go on and fill us in on why we can't hear anyone talk at the press conferences. Punt challenge. What am I missing?
Oh, we just want to kick a punt for $65,000.
20 yards. Oh, yeah, I can do 20 yards.
I might do 20 yards. I could throw it a hell of a lot further.
Holly, did he respond? All right, so Frankie is playing it right now.
So he's playing it. He's not simming it.
Yeah, he's actually playing. Okay. They didn't
I
mention
can't
it.
believe listening.
I
How is he typing then? Frankie's talented.
Oh, voice text?
It could be. That usually screws up.
Maybe.
Ryan screws it
Oh.
up at least.
He's probably playing on his PC, so. Or multiple ones. Holly's with you, Aaron. She votes Garoppolo. I'll stick with Tannehill. And not just because, is it Jameson? Yeah, Jameson is in the chat.
What did he say? Would he take Garoppolo over Tannehill? Because he's sick of Tannehill.
Wait a minute. How many monitors do you have, Frankie? He's playing on his middle monitor. We're on the left monitor, which means there's at least a right monitor. What's on the right monitor? Oh, you don't have to tell us.
Ryan sent me a picture of his setup when he was doing the draft guide, and he had like 5 or 6. I think he had 3 of them on, so I called him a slacker.
That's it, just 5 or 6 monitors, huh?
Yeah. It was 2 were off. I remember that much, so I was giving him shit that he was slacking. But yeah, that's how hard that guy works on the draft guide. How much film he watches.
Yeah.
He puts everything into it, and he does not sleep. Virtually. All right.
Yeah, I think we basically answered our questions on the game, didn't we?
Yep.
I don't think we have really, unless we want to answer the question. Gooch, are you still there? You want to answer? Let's do this. Let's set Gooch up because I know his answer. But Gooch, the Chiefs win this game if what?
Oh man. Do they need to play it?
Do they need a plan? Is that what the question was?
No, do they need to play it?
Play it.
Gooch, do you think the Broncos offense is bad enough that we could start Henne and still win this game?
I think the offense is bad enough that we could call up whoever our third string is
Michelle?
and still win this game.
I would rather the third string than Henne at this point.
I think you got a better chance with Bouchel than Henne.
And also gives Pat a week to rest with that bruised foot.
Right.
That's the one thing we're not talking about, except for the fact that Brittany put a TikTok or something out, and you could see Pat in a little bit of a brace on that ankle / shin, whatever it is, and that worries me.
Mm. You know, and that reminds me.
If I was the NFL, are we going to Denver or are they coming here?
Yes, we're going to Denver.
If I was the NFL, I would just be like, boys, we're just going to call this one a forfeit. Let's go ahead and, because you know, as soon as the Chiefs get off the plane, that game is over.
That's the answer we expected.
That's what I was waiting for.
I mean, I actually was one. I was looking forward to Mahomes versus Russ just to prove his dominance over the division, and then Russ looked like the second coming of Brody Croyle this year. That's just been bad all around, and actually, you know what scares me? What scares me is that dadgum defense of theirs. That is an all-world defense. They are holding teams to 14 points a game or 17 points a game, whatever it is. and they've been doing it all season long, and that is just not easy to do.
But they're only scoring 13.
Right. Right. I
And
think somebody said that if the Broncos would have scored at least 17, they'd be 9-1, 9-2 by now, because only 2 teams have scored over 17 against them.
Yeah, it's something crazy.
I think I want to change my score a little bit to 27-13, actually.
Well, this is the quarterback comparison.
I'm thinking 35-20.
Russ has averaged 232.5 yards per game passing. He's got 8 touchdowns this season. So we're almost at what? 1 every 2 games? At that rate, almost. Or I guess you could say 1 every 1.5 games. The yards per attempt is only a yard different, 7.1 versus 8.1. But his QBR is 35.0. So, like I said, like the limitations are there. You have, 12 weeks of game tape to see what other defenses are doing, what's working, what's not working. If Meinertz and, forgetting what's his name. If you have those 2 offensive linemen out in this game, he doesn't want to throw over the middle, right? That's the one place the Bengals killed us. They basically killed us in 2 ways, right? They killed us throwing it over the middle, and seriously, it was an astronomically large amount of balls thrown over the middle. And then it was, other than the run game, it was Burrow taking off and running. If Russ can't do that and he's not throwing over the middle, and we were, for the most part, otherwise able to handle push off Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. By the way, I'm just going to keep calling them push off Chase for the rest of the career. But, if we can handle those guys, tell me why we shouldn't be able to handle the Broncos receivers. And in a healthy room, I have a lot of respect for Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick in that receiving room. But as they are right now, not so much. So,
right.
Our defense should be able to look strong in this game. And if they're not, I'm going to be really frustrated with that. And I expect their defense to look really strong against our offense. I expect this to be a frustrating game for us to watch on offense. I'll be completely thrilled if I'm wrong, but I expect it to be a frustrating game on offense for us. And it should. There's no reason that it's not frustrating for them on offense. So, yeah. Gooch, what's your score prediction? I don't do mine, but I did say 24-9. Aaron said 27. You changed it again, Aaron? 27-13?
Yeah.
You going to give us a score prediction for this one, Gooch? We don't do this that often.
35-20.
What was that?
35-20.
35-20. I'll be a little irritated if we give up 20 points. I'll be really surprised if we score 35 against that defense, though.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah. The over-under that I saw was like 30 or 43.5 points. 35-20 would be 55. That'd be way over the over. We'll see. What do you guys have in the chat? What's your score prediction for this one? What do you think?
Or you're welcome to leave it in the comments.
Yeah, you can leave it in the comments afterwards as well, for sure. But what about you, Aaron? The Chiefs will win if
Gutter runs away. Uh-oh.
Holly thinks it's going to be a really close game. 4-point game, Holly. I hope not.
He's not running away.
So
We win if Mahomes keeps his feet right. I could see that score that Holly just put up there.
27-23.
Yep. I like Frankie's. What happened to the 48-3, Frankie?
Yeah, so which one do you like? The 34-10 or the 48-3?
That was his hope, was 48-3.
48-3 is what I would like to see every game.
And then, yeah, Chris had 28-6. Is he the only one that doesn't
I
change
actually
the
think
score?
I'm going to change mine,
Uh-huh.
and I'm going to go 28-21. Division games are always tough, and Hackett is trying to save his job. And Russell isn't going to want to be embarrassed by Mahomes in their first ever division meeting.
Too bad. He's still going to make you look like a little kid.
What was the score of the Bengals game? 27-24?
Yep.
If we gave up 6 less points to Russell Wilson and whatever receivers they're throwing out there, like that would be an absolutely poor defensive performance in my mind. Like, I don't know how you could justify that. I don't know. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. I'm just saying, like, if it does, to me, it's going to be almost indefensible. Like, Chase and Higgins and Boyd are that good. Burrow is that good. Did they get aided a few times by the refs to give them some extra chances? Yes, but they're that good. Russ is not that good anymore. He's 33 years old. That receiving core is not even close to the caliber of the Bengals receiving core. When we played the Bills, what was the score? 24-20?
Yeah.
We
Hey,
held
Mike.
Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Isaiah McKenzie to 24 points. The Bengals to 27 points. Right? That's 51 combined points. So you're looking at 25 and a half points average between those two. If we let the Broncos get within 3.5 points of that, when they don't have a quarterback that's even close to that, they don't have an offensive line that's even close to that, they don't have the receiving core that's even close to that, they don't have the offensive mind that's even close to that. For everything Nathaniel Hackett is, it seems that he is not a – listen, I don't want to tear him down, but coaching-wise, head coach, offensive coordinator, the Chiefs should have a huge advantage in this game on top of the huge advantage at quarterback. Defensively, I already said I'm impressed with Evero. I'm pretty sure he comes from the Vic Fangio system. I'm pretty sure he coached under him. Very impressed so far. So, and I don't want to insult Spags by comparing a rookie defensive coordinator to Spags. But what is it? They barely give up 2 touchdowns a game. I think they're second or third in the NFL in defensive defensive scoring, DVOA, something. I should write down these stats.
Mike, what's your score prediction?
Hey, Mike. Frankie says almost half of his full season touchdowns in one game. Yeah, I mean, 20 points. That's what you'd basically be talking about. 3 touchdowns when he scored 8 all season. Maybe they gash us on the ground, but that would be a serious wake-up call, in my opinion, if they were able to do that.
Well, we should be gashing them on the ground.
There's no dual threat, right? I can understand when you're facing a team like the Bills or the Bengals or the Chiefs, right? Because there's a lot of similarities between those teams.
Jeez.
Other than that, now that we don't have Tyreek, we don't have that dynamic receiver like a Stephon Diggs or Jamar Chase that Allen and Burrow have now. But there's a lot of similarities there. But the Bengals have the best run game of the 3. Joe Mixon was leading the NFL in rushing last year or at some point this season. I think it was last year or second or something like that with Derrick Henry out. And so he was a top 3 running back in terms of yards. He's a legit running back. The Chiefs didn't have that. The Bills didn't have that. Josh Allen still is their running game. And so it makes sense as a defensive coordinator when you're facing a team that could literally put 35 on you in the passing game or has a good enough running game, to where you could give up 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, that you have to make a choice between one or the other. This Broncos offense, you're not making that choice. You don't have to worry about that choice. So I like Mike's answer, though, because he understands. It's probably not going to be 49-9. John Gruden isn't coaching them, and they didn't do laps around Arrowhead, but Mike understands. 9-6 or 49-9.
Somewhere in there.
Did you hit this Frankie stat here?
Yes.
Okay.
I just showed
13
it on the screen.
Yeah.
It said G's.
In the last 4 games, the Broncos are 13 of 55 on third down. That's 23.6%. 13 of 55.
Both hit it.
23.6%. I feel like against our defense, there's a possibility they could get it up to 45% in the game. I don't know. I don't remember who their other running back is. Latavius Murray. I feel like they brought in a new running back. All right, you laugh, Frankie. Frankie says if they get to third down, they should just punt. I've done this before in Madden. It was before Mahomes was on the Chiefs, but
Sky Moore is back there.
You get to third and 26 or something, and I'm just gonna punt it. This was before Mahomes. You had Dustin Colquitt, so it was if I punt this and they're in their defense, they're not even doing a punt return on third down, I can punt this 75 yards by the time it rolls and everything, and this can be a huge swing for me. So I would just do it. But now that you have Mahomes, you can't do that because third and 27, it's like a 70%, completion probability.
Well, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got too. So,
Gooch, any last words?
Famous last words, Gooch. As you said on your
famous last words.
As you said on your LSU throne.
I am not sitting in that damn chair anymore.
You got off the toilet?
You know, I do my best thinking there.
I was talking about the LSU chair.
Me too. Should be a good game. Should be a win. We should win out, honestly. 9-3. I think we all had us going either 14-3 or 13-4. I really see the Cincinnati game as the one game that, and we said it, that will slip through our fingers that really shouldn't. And that was the game. Should be a fun ride into the playoffs and the Arrowhead Invitational, hopefully. Actually, I think this is probably the year where it doesn't matter. I think Juju and Travis's skill set, and if they start utilizing Sky like they should, I think their skill sets travel well. So I don't think it needs to be an Arrowhead. I think it should be fun. The continuation of the embarrassment of Mr. Limited, Russell Wilson.
Yeah. And you know, all we would have, if we were the set number 2 seed, all we need is someone to knock off the number 1 seed. And depending on how the playoffs go, you know, if a team like the Bengals didn't win that division and they fell down, you know, there's that possibility in the divisional round you're playing a Bengals team as the 1 or 2 seed. And it's like, what? You know, this isn't right. But, I mean, it could happen.
So, Gooch, are you agreeing with me that we'll win out?
I do. I think we will.
I said,
you know what?
Preseason, we're going to lose to the Seahawks, and I think we lose to the Seahawks.
I think we win out if we don't have the top seed locked up. If we have the top seed locked up, I think there's the possibility we lose the last game because Andy's going to rest everybody.
I'm with you.
I still think the Seahawks are a game on the schedule that makes a lot of sense for us to lose.
They do pose a problem.
Great running game, 2 great receivers. If we play DK and Lockett the whole game, they can gash us with the run game. 2 good offensive tackles, 2 good cornerbacks. They've been playing decent defense. Actually, is their running backs banged up? If their running backs are banged up, that's a bit of a different story.
I actually think the game we can lose is the Raiders game.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense if we're wrestling.
They have been looking really good as of late, and I think that's Josh McDaniels' win or go home game.
Not your boy Carr, huh?
Carr is still, I believe, underrated as a quarterback. I'm not a super duper fan of his, but the boy is talented. I mean, look what he did for them last year. He's almost like Alex Smith 2.0. It's almost like every year he's got a different coach and or coordinator, and he has to perform miracles on that team.
He had 2 last year. I don't think
he gets – huh?
He had 2 last year.
Don't you ever disrespect Alex Smith like that. Damn it,
I just don't think he gets the respect that he should. But personally, I just personally don't think, and the only reason why I compared him to Alex Smith is for that reason. I don't think he gets enough respect for what he's had to do. And it's too many, oh, look at this shiny new toy. You know what I'm saying? And people assume he's trash. He's with the Raiders. Put Derek Carr on the Jets right now. What do you got?
Probably a better team.
Right.
If I'm honest. Better
I've
offense, I
always-
should say.
I've always said that Derek Carr's, even though he's the third best quarterback in the AFC West, he's probably the second best quarterback in most of the divisions other than ours in football. He's definitely a top 15 quarterback if you look at all the other quarterbacks that play in this league.
Yeah,
And
I know
I
a
think
team in
for
the
him-
AFC West who'd like to have him.
And I think for him, the Chiefs game right now, because they're not winning except for that one when he was an MVP candidate and they made him continue to play and they broke his ankle. I think really for him, his Super Bowl is also against the Chiefs. It's the one game he can count on.
Did you answer the Garoppolo Tannehill?
No, what was that question? I heard you guys answering it.
Who would you rather? Who's better?
No, Garoppolo. See, now
I'm a little
thinking about
surprised by that.
it. Now I'm actually thinking about it. Whose weapons are we talking about? Like we're talking
Either way.
quarterback.
Interchangeable.
Still Garoppolo.
I
Not
figured you'd go
because
Tannehill.
Tannehill's great at play action, but that's pretty much it. Like if there's no fear of a running game, I'm not afraid of Tannehill. However, I would be afraid of Tannehill if he had San Francisco's weapons, because there's way too many people to throw short to and just let them do what they do.
Samuel especially.
Yeah. I mean, if Tannehill had the ability to have San Francisco's offensive weapons, I'd go Tannehill all day because he is definitely he has a better play action fake than 95% of the quarterbacks in the league. Because he's, even when they know it's coming, he still gets the safeties and the corners to jump up.
But Tannehill had A.J. Brown and Julio Jones last year and did nothing.
Julio Jones hasn't been Julio Jones for 5 years. And the only difference I see between the two of them is that Tannehill throws more interceptions, but Jimmy seems to throw them when he needs to not throw them. Like you be on a roll and he'll throw that one back-breaking pick or run out of the back of the end zone for a safety like Dan Orlovsky at the wrong time.
I'll say this. Let's not forget that A.J. Brown now has Devonta Smith next to him. He didn't have a receiver even close to that quality with him in Tennessee. So, I think
they've gotten 100 yards each at least once.
Who?
That I can think of. Devonta and
because they have
Brown.
each other. Like,
yeah,
you have two legitimate, you could almost say, number one receivers, if you want to go that far, with the two of them. Tannehill didn't have that last year, and that offense, I mean, it runs through Derrick Henry. So,
absolutely.
Gooch, let me just frame this question. Let me frame the question this way, Gooch, and you can answer it again. If Tannehill and Garoppolo both play in San Francisco's offense, who's it better with? Tannehill and Garoppolo both play in Tennessee's offense, who's it better with?
That's Tannehill across the board.
So, better quarterback.
I don't think Jimmy's in the perfect situation because of those weapons. I think Tennessee has no-name receivers who don't get a lot of yards, and Tannehill still manages to win with them. I don't think Jimmy can elevate those guys like that.
I think he has. There's been several times, like Kendrick Bourne, there's a reason he got a contract.
Well, now you also have to figure
Garoppolo.
Shanahan
and Samuel
is the
was hurt a lot.
behind that. Vrabel
That's
is
true.
doing it. Vrabel is doing it as a defensive-minded coach and a really kind of a simple offense. And Shanahan and Garoppolo has the benefit of Shanahan being able to scheme a lot of things open. I mean, if you really want my honest opinion, Shanahan might be I'm thinking before I say it. Second or third best coach in the league. Because I like Vrabel. And Vrabel gets a lot out of nothing. So you got to give some credit to that. And McVay, I don't care what anybody says about the Rams throwing all their chips in for the Super Bowl. You should still, if you're as much of a genius as everybody's proclaimed you to be for the last 3 years, you should have more than 3 or 4 wins on the docket. Shanahan started slow because they had all those injuries, and he still found a way to keep it so that when guys started coming back, he's in the race. Helps when you have that kind of mind.
So I'll say this, something that never got mentioned. Tannehill and Vrabel are on their third offensive coordinator, because Matt LaFleur was offensive coordinator there before he went to Green Bay. And then Arthur Smith was the coordinator there before he left for the Falcons. So this is his first year, right? So this is a brand new offensive coordinator in Tennessee, if I'm recalling that correctly. Let me just throw this out. Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant for the 49ers against the Dolphins defense last Sunday, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 88.8 rating. Is it the offense? Is it the quarterback?
I don't know. That's not great.
Brock Purdy couldn't shine my shoes, and somehow he led an NFL team.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Looks good at it.
210 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an 88.8 rating.
And you're saying that's good?
You're saying that's bad?
He only did it in only a half.
Great.
He did it in a half. In a half. If Mahomes put those numbers up, we're like, man, what a great game.
If Chad Henne put those numbers up, we would say that's a great game. Let alone Mr. Irrelevant.
He's freaking 80.
Let alone Mr. Irrelevant out of Iowa State, rookie. Gooch says it's in a half. I don't remember whether it's a half or a whole game. 210 yards and 2 touchdowns is a pretty decent performance. So,
what year was he drafted?
This year.
I'd have to look at my board then.
He's Mr. Irrelevant from this year.
He's the last pick of the draft. The Niners didn't even really want him. They just picked him to shut down the draft. Like, they really didn't want it.
Let's take a quarterback and get the fuck out of here.
Because they had Trey Lance. It's like, all right, we'll pick that guy up. He's going to get cut anyway.
Like something, yeah. I mean, you think Trey Lance, you don't really.
I'd have to look at my board. See where I had him.
Yeah, look at your board, see where you had him. But I mean, what was it? What pick is Mr. Irrelevant?
The last pick of the draft?
356.
No, I mean this year. Like it changes because of the amount of supplemental picks, right? I don't think there's a fixed number, is it?
I think it is. I think it's 356 because they have a parade for it and stuff.
244, 240.
No, it's 356, bro.
No, there's not 300. There's not 300 draft picks. Hey, I actually had him 6th round, Aaron.
Where did I have him? So see, he shouldn't be Mr. Irrelevant, Steve.
Yeah, but what do I know about evaluating quarterbacks?
What do I know?
What do I know? I don't know. I don't know what I
I
know.
still think Garoppolo's better. And so does Holly.
He'd probably be better in the Patriots offense than Mac Jones. I would say
Yeah.
that.
Well, who was the guy that already was? And they took him out. I can't think of his name now.
Stinnett?
Huh?
Stinnett?
Zappa.
Oh, Zappa.
Zappy? Something like that.
Bailey Zappi.
Yeah. He kicked ass. And then they put what's his name back in. Mac Jones.
He was picked 262 last year.
Yeah, it can't be set.
That's
It's got to be based. Once you add in the supplemental picks, it goes up. So you start out with what? 7 rounds times 32 teams is 224 picks. And then by the time you add in supplemental picks, teams losing picks because they get in trouble. So, yeah. 262, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
If you take a quarterback at 262 and he gives you a day with 2 touchdowns and 200 yards, that's a pretty good performance. Not as good as Isaiah Pacheco being.
There was 261 guys ahead of him who everybody in the league thought was better. Hey, guess what? He's undefeated as an NFL quarterback.
All right, let's do this for fun, okay, Aaron?
His winning percentage is better than Patrick Mahomes right now.
All right, Aaron, we're going to do this for fun.
Start the game.
What did I say? 200 and how many yards did I say?
The win goes to the starter.
How many did I say? All right.
It's like I'm talking to two keys here because he's always got to be right.
210 yards, 2 touchdowns. We're going to do this for fun. 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. All right. Russell Wilson's games this season. Let's count how many he got. 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. All right. Regular season. First game, he got 340 yards and 1 touchdown. All right. So we'll give him that one. Against Houston, of all teams, he had 219 yards and 1 touchdown and 1 interception. That's about the same. San Francisco, 184 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Vegas, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. A little bit better. Indy, 274 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's got 50 more yards, 2 less touchdowns. Against the Chargers, 188 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. So I got to give that one to Purdy. 252 yards and 1 touchdown, 1 interception against the Jags. So he's got the yards by 30, but 1 less touchdown. 286 against the Titans. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It's actually a pretty good performance against the Titans defense. Maybe they just play us a lot harder than other teams. Against Vegas, again, 247 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And then against the Carolina Panthers, that defensive juggernaut, 142 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And then against the Ravens, 189 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
4 games, he got outplayed by Brock Purdy, Russell Wilson, this season.
That's pretty bad. So I had Zappy in the middle of the 6th and Purdy in the middle of the 7th.
I think I had Zappy in 6th as well. Close this. I have to open it up again.
I think Zappy's better than Mac Jones.
I had
I
him
really
in
don't understand after the game he had that he puts Mac Jones back in.
So I had Purdy as
A
a
fifth?
6th and Bailey Zappi as a 5th. Yeah. Well, at least one mistake we didn't make. Who was it? Maybe we shouldn't say on here. Who was it that had Derek Stingley Jr. above Sauce Gardner?
That has been Harms, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say so.
I didn't make that mistake on mine. Anyway.
I'm going to be petty because, and I'm going to say something like, he did because we didn't do our draft board correctly, so he couldn't steal our opinions.
I have Stingley in the middle of the 2nd and Gardner in the top 10.
Yeah, I didn't bump him down that much. I bumped him to middle of the 1st, but I had Sauce as a top of the 1st, top 10 as well. Actually,
what happened to Andrew Booth?
What's that?
What happened to Andrew Booth? And I had McDuffie in the middle of the 1st.
I had McDuffie at the end of the 1st, actually.
McDuffie was my number 2.
24, 25. But that's because I thought that there would be a run. I mean, there was eventually, but I thought there'd be a heavier run on wide receivers.
Yeah. I had him as an end of 1st.
You're talking to a guy that had Jamison Williams really high and Sauce Gardner really high, and
I had Olave as my number 2.
Who has been activated for this week, by the way, Jameson?
Really?
Yeah.
He was last week as well. I think he only got like 1 or 2 snaps though.
Got to give him some kind of work, I guess.
Yeah, I picked him up on it in the RGR Fantasy League. So if they can ramp up that production heading right into our playoffs, I'll be happy.
But yeah, my top pick after Williams was Olave, then Garrett Wilson, then Drake London.
I had Williams, London, Wilson, Olave. Then Christian Watson.
I had Christian Watson right after Pickens in the middle of the 2nd.
Yeah, I had him right before Pickens at the top of the 2nd.
Jahan Dotson at the end of the 1st and Treylon Burks at the beginning of the 2nd.
I had Dotson into the 2nd. And who did you say? Burks?
Yeah.
Mid-2nd. Hey, this will be a fun episode next year when we fight over these. Yeah, we can look back on them this year and be like, hey, we're kind of smart. Yep. Anyway.
I don't know what happened to a lot of these safeties. All
right, Gooch, you want to pay the bills and send us home?
Hey, guys, we appreciate everybody. I'm even going to do this for you real quick. We appreciate everybody that came to check us out, hanging with us. Of course, you see Dub A, Keys. We appreciate all y'all. We're going to start bringing you more stuff. We just all been kind of wrapped up in different kind of things, and it's been a little rough. We appreciate y'all being here with us. Tell somebody you love them. We'll catch you in the next one. I promise.
Go ahead and say it, Aaron.
We'll be back.
You got your team, and we got a kingdom. Ready for war, we score at will.